And here we go, and today we're going to do a quick little side-by-side comparison contrast of the ASICS MEGABLAST and the ASICS SUPERBLAST. Two top shoes, especially in ASICS and in the running world in general. And man, oh man, oh man, this shoe right here, this ASICS MEGABLAST has taken the shoe store, the world by storm, man, and it is just blowing up. Okay, guys, so this is like the latest and greatest from ASICS. Won't need go into too much specific detail about this one. You can check out my video for first impressions there. Full review is oncoming, but today we're looking at this. It's like FF Turbo 2. Very lightweight in the hand, so bouncy. Went on a big run with them yesterday, and man, oh man, oh man, it's just so nice. And then you have the SUPERBLAST 2, which was like the bee's knees for a very long time, still the cat's meow in my and in so many other ways. And so we can kind of take a look at the differences between these two shoes, because my gut tells me that they are indeed quite different. Okay, so top to bottom, as we normally do, we're going to take a look top to bottom here, starting with the laces. So laces, look, big difference between the purple MEGABLAST and the white SUPERBLAST 2. All right, you've got serrated butter knife over, or yeah, serrated knife over here with the purple, and a little bit of stretch, and then a little bit of fluff, and kind of your standard width as far as the SUPERBLAST series goes. But still a skinny lace in general as far as laces are concerned, okay? And then having a look at the material of the eyelet chain, not very much going on with the MEGABLAST, but there still is some to be considered. Some reinforcements here in the holes, and then not so much, or I'm sorry, a little bit more here with the SUPERBLAST, just a little bit more built up, okay? So the tongue does kind of stay in place nicely here with the SUPERBLAST, and it kind of flops away with the MEGABLAST. Taking a feel of the tongues, so into the SUPERBLAST here, having a feel of it, remembering that, quite cushy on the top as it touches the top of the foot there, and then minus all that stuff over here on the MEGABLAST, even thinner, even like the little cushy pods up top are more minimal than your, pretty pronounced cushy pods here on the top and the bottom of the SUPERBLAST. A little bit more thicker in terms of that over the top of the foot there. And I remember the tongue feeling quite comfortable here in the SUPERBLAST. SUPERBLAST does have a gusset medially and laterally, okay? Fairly stout gusset, if I might say so myself, versus the SUPERBLAST here, I'm sorry, the MEGABLAST, which also has a fairly stout gusset both sides as well. And what I remember is the lateral gusset on the MEGABLAST, I'm gonna mess these two things up, I promise, I'm not trying, is fairly stout as well, okay? A little bit more, in terms of how it wraps around the side of that foot, the outside of this foot here on the MEGABLAST. So, definitely a lot more gusset material for the MEGABLAST, okay? The uppers couldn't be more different, okay? As far as thickness and just overall shape and everything, that will definitely go to the SUPERBLAST. I mean, it's got this pretty ample, pretty tall, pretty wide toe box, and I remember having half a size up with this shoe here, and this is a true to size, but we'll get into the fit here in a second. Quite a bit of ventilation, but again, it's a very pronounced shape of the shoe in general, and it's fairly minimal by most standards, but compared to the MEGABLAST, this thing has got all kinds of overlay and whatnot. But still, it's still a very nice upper, a very nice material. The heel counter, the heel collar is very cushioned and highly appropriate for your super long distance trainer right here. Very comfortable heel as well. And then over here, remember the material here, it's just all about being lightweight. It's super see-through, it's very minimal. The back of the shoe is a little bit more floppy, but still does have some rigidity as it gets towards that extreme peak back there. And then the cushion that goes around the heel is pretty nice actually, and a little bit more built up than I would expect for a premium a shoe that's trying to be all lightweight and whatnot, it's actually got a little bit more stoutness as far as the cushion goes. And this, the Superblast, a little bit more squishy than your Megablast as far as that cushion goes. So very interesting, very, very, very interesting. All right, pulling out the insert for the Megablast and then pulling out the insert for the Superblast, okay? Okay, so both have really decent high quality inserts. I would say actually that the Superblast feels a tiny bit thicker to me, okay? And then as far as the arch support and the molding and everything, it's pretty much the same on both sides, okay? And again, the Megablast is a little bit thinner than your Superblast inserts, okay? So very cool stuff, very cool stuff. You know, I was really a big fan, or I am a big fan of the Superblast. I think it's a wonderful shoe. It's a great shoe for so many different things. And then you got the Megablast that shows up and just kind of, rocks the party. It's all about the bounce, and this I think is going to be a little bit more controlled ride. But we'll pop these on here in a second. Okay, as far as the midsoles go, we have FF Turbo 2 here, and then we have FF Turbo Plus on the Superblast, and I'm blanking on the bottom foam here. I'll have that on the screen. Oh, there it is, FF Blast Plus right there. Okay, so 2 foams going on here, and then 1 super duper premium foam going on here. So 1 and 2. Alrighty, and now as far as like those sidewalls, you got quite a bit of sidewall happening with the Superblast 2 versus the Megablast. You got a little bit less pronounced sidewall action going on, okay? Can you guys see that? I hope so. I hope you can. Okay, and then taking a look at the rear of the shoe, you've got definitely a lot more rounding going on towards the Megablast, where it's all nice and squared off with the Superblast, okay? And then one final note about the posterior is that you have all this sidewall that kind of wraps around the heel as well, keeping that nice and stable. Very obvious, especially towards the latter stages of a long run, going on right here with this. And then also, I guess the second final note is this heel bevel here very much captures that heel, that shoe as it's coming down, especially for those rear foot landings, okay? On your screen now are the stack heights and weights of the men's size 9 in both of these shoes. I do not have my scale out here. Okay, and then having a peek at the outsides of the shoes. Both are minimal-ish, but definitely a lot more cut out here for the Megablast versus your Superblast over here. Okay, but both have that ASICS grip, okay? I'll put it on the screen in case that is not what it is, but that's what I remember is the ASICS grip on both of these, okay? All right, so let's actually pop one on each foot here and take this for a quick spin and just see how it goes. I wanna kind of remind myself, 1, of the Superblast 2, and then 2, the difference between the 2 shoes. Again, I took the Megablast out last night for a pretty decent run, and I gotta say, wow, wow, wow. It's incredibly versatile. I took it through multiple paces, through rolling terrain, up hills, down hills, you name it. And yeah, it did very well on the forefoot landing. It did very well on the rear foot landing. The energy return from that Turbo 2 is phenomenal. It is so bouncy, especially there's definitely like 2 to 3 sweet spots for the shoe. And then, everybody's different, obviously. But for me, I definitely found that there were quite a few sweet spots of the shoe, depending on the attitude of the course. And then, of course, my attitude as well. So here we got both shoes on feet here. Let's have a peek together, okay? Here we go. So I went 11.5 over here, so up half a size. And there's my spacing here. And then a standard size, the men's size 11 here for the Megablast. So definitely sizing alert if that's something you're interested in with the 2 shoes, okay? If you remember, I had quite the conundrum with the sizing of the Superblast, but once fixed, it was a wonderful shoe. All right, let's take this for a quick spin here. Okay, going in the 2 shoes here, definitely a difference, stability going on for the Superblast, and you're kind of almost like sitting on top of the shoe, but there still is quite a bit of energy return versus your Mega Blast, which is just bounce, 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 bounce all day long towards the forefoot here. Okay, as far as the sizing goes, excellent lockdown of the Mega Blast versus the Super Blast, which still has a very good lockdown, but it's definitely a lot more pronounced on the Mega Blast. Lots of room in both toe boxes. Again, I went half size up on the Super Blast. So once I got that dialed in, it was great. The heel lockdown, it's a little bit nicer on the Mega Blast versus the Super Blast. The foam seems to be maturing a lot faster, that Turbo 2 versus the Super Blast, which even after all this time, it still doesn't feel broken in. I've heard reports of that. That seems to take forever. Okay, let's go on the heel. Oh my gosh, Mega Blast all day long. It just receives that heel and then it transitions forward the user in a very, very fun way versus the more utilitarian feeling Super Blast, which, you know, still does a good job in capturing that heel. But again, it's a lot more settled down. That said, the opposite of settled down, you would think is like erratic and bouncy. That is not the case in the Mega Blast. It is controlled chaos. It is a very responsible party going on the Mega Blast. So let's take it home. It's starting to rain. Woo! So there we go, everybody. That is the Mega Blast and Super Blast right here on the channel. Well, hopefully everybody benefited from that little quick comparison, that little side by side as we break down these two shoes. There's a lot more coming up for the Mega Blast. I'm going to be probably doing the entire Blast line as far as like a side-by-side compare and contrast, which will include the Super Blast too. But the main issue with this video topic is comparing this super shoe here and this super shoe here. Very popular shoe, very popular shoe. Oh, right, I didn't look at the direct comparison of the rocker. Look at that. So, you know, definitely a lot more exaggerated, that rocker on this Super Blast versus the Mega Blast, I feel. And I feel like the Mega Blast is a little bit earlier as far as like closer to my hand, right? You can see my nose is kind of pointing at the curve. I don't have a third hand, but the rocker, where it takes off, looks to be a little sooner in the movement arm versus the Super Blast here. And then as far as like the pronouncement of your rocker towards the heel here, again, way more generous of a rocker. See that? It's a lot more gradual as far as that curve goes. You know, curve, stop. Whereas here it's like curve, stop. So interesting, guys. So a lot more of that rocker fun going on here with that Mega Blast. Okay, trampoline pod effect, a lot more obvious here with the Mega Blast. And actually, as I'm saying that, it did remind me of when I ran in the Nova Blast for the first time way back in the day. Remember that fun, that trampoline effect that kind of got diminished over time? And I didn't really ever feel it here, but it's back, baby. It's back in the Mega Blast. All right, guys, that's what I got for you. It's time to go make tacos. Y'all have a wonderful night, and we'll catch you in the next one.